ready for a spine-chilling cosmic adventure that will leave you questioning the secrets lurking beyond our atmosphere. Brace yourselves for the unknown, for the universe holds eerie surprises.
Ever wondered about the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle? It's a known spot for boat and plane disappearances. This spot between Miami, Bermuda and San Juan in Puerto Rico has seen a large number of mysterious disappearances, leading some people to speculate that there is something mysterious and malicious going on. Some of the most notable losses have been the USS Cyclops that disappeared with 308 people on board in 1918, and the disappearance of the US Navy Avenger torpedo planes in 1945. According to the Express news publication, on average 4 planes and 20 boats are reported lost every year in the area. While we've never officially gotten to the bottom of the Bermuda Triangle mystery, some people think that it is a portal to another universe, and well, I guess that's why. I mean, why couldn't there be a portal in the ocean? Recently, a treasure hunter claimed that they found an unidentified object that they believe is an alien spaceship under the Bermuda Triangle. Maybe it isn't something that crash landed, maybe it's something that came up. Perhaps it's a scary signal from a parallel universe. Coming in at number 9, we have the man from Torid. Were we sent a man from another parallel universe, or did he arrive via some kind of portal or vortex? Our story here stems back to 1954 when a man was detained at the Japanese border after arriving on a plane from Europe to Haneda Airport. The man said he was on his 3rd business trip to Japan that year, and he had a wallet filled with a mixture of currencies, seeming to verify his business traveler status. When he presented his passport, officials were absolutely baffled, asking where he was from. Now, the man, who primarily spoke French, said, "Torid. Where is this mystery place?" He showed his passport again and the stamps that supported his travels. The only thing is, nobody had ever heard of Torid. The company he was traveling to said that they'd never heard of him, and he was carrying a checkbook to a non-existent bank. When he was asked to point out Torid on the map, he pointed to where Andorra is today and seemed confused and offended to be told that it's not a real country. He was detained in a hotel overnight while Japanese authorities decided what to do with him, but by morning he disappeared. Did he accidentally walk through a portal to another universe? Maybe.
In our number 8 spot today, we have the BBC. So for this one, we have to be on the same page for what a numbers station is. Basically, they're shortwave radio stations, and the transmissions or broadcasts are usually certain numbers or other repetitive things which are believed to be aimed to address intelligence officers who are operating in foreign countries. So for this one, we are taking it back to 1983 when the BBC, yes, the British Broadcasting Corporation, received a letter from a listener they had in Andorra. This listener had written into the World Service Waveguide program to complain that during her attempt at listening, she was interrupted by a female voice that was reading out numbers in English, and she wanted to know what this interference was. While the corporation gave a regular, non-sinister answer to the confused woman, after more research was done into the case, people aren't quite convinced. Many people who know much more about these things and recognize the patterns seen in number stations are fairly certain that this interruption was a numbers station that was being broadcast on a random frequency that just happened to intercept with this woman's BBC program. In our number 7 spot today, we have the randomness. Okay, when looking for signs or signals from other universes, sometimes we have to look in the most peculiar places, and that includes some of the strange things that happen in our reality. Bizarre, seemingly random things happen here all the time, and maybe it's because we live in a weird world, or maybe it's a sign that since the idea of parallel universes means that there's a universe where basically every random thing you can think of is a reality, we just live in a universe where some of those random things are bound to happen. Like, who would have guessed that Napoleon would almost be taken out by a bunch of bunnies? Or like how people can survive the seemingly impossible, like a fall out of an airplane at over 30,000 feet without a parachute. You know, just things you hear that you can't believe. I'm sure many of you watching this have seen a video on this channel at some point that had someone say something that made you go, really? And that's what I'm talking about. Maybe this isn't the best evidence of parallel universes, but hey, everything counts. In our number 6 spot today, we have the Green Bank Telescope FRB. In 2012, the vast expanse of our cosmos spoke once again, this time with a signal captured by the Green Bank Telescope, located in West Virginia in the United States. The signal wasn't a gentle whisper, but a bold, intense burst of radio waves, a fast radio burst, or an FRB. FRBs are brief yet powerful blasts of radio waves that come from distant parts of the cosmos, lasting only a few milliseconds. The source of the Green Bank Telescope FRB, much like other FRBs, remains an enigma. These fast radio bursts, due to their brevity and unpredictable nature, have been notoriously difficult to trace back to their origin, and this one was no exception. Since their first detection in 2007, FRBs have posed a significant challenge to astronomers. What cosmic phenomena could generate such powerful yet fleeting signals? Theories range from highly magnetized neutron stars to extragalactic civilization. The Green Bank Telescope FRB added another layer to this cosmic mystery, an enigma still being explored and deciphered by scientists across the globe.
Number 5. Farthest radio signal from a galaxy. Astronomers using a radio telescope in India have captured the most distant ever radio signal from a galaxy. This signal came from a galaxy called SDSS J0826 plus 5630 that exists 8.8 billion light years away. That essentially means that it exists closer to the Big Bang than any other galaxy previously detected using radio astronomy. A galaxy emits different kinds of radio signals, said Arnab Chakraborty, a postdoctoral researcher who studies cosmology at the Department of Physics at McGill University in Montreal, Canada. Until now, it's only been possible to capture this particular signal from a galaxy nearby, limiting our knowledge to those galaxies closer to Earth. The researchers from both Montreal and India used the giant meter wave radio telescope in Pune, India, to capture the signal at a specific wavelength called the 21 centimeter line. The signal from the galaxy was emitted when the universe was only 4.9 billion years old, but because the universe is expanding, it took 8.8 billion years to reach the telescope. Wow. This breakthrough proves that it's possible to observe faraway galaxies using low-frequency radio telescopes. This will help us understand the composition of galaxies at a much greater distance from Earth, said Arnab.
In our number 4 spot today, we have the solar system exit. What we are about to listen to isn't a real-time space recording, but it is an audiograph of the Voyager's plasma wave science observations that spanned several months between 2012 and 2013. The readings are important because this is the first time when scientists believe that the Voyager left our solar system's heliopause, making it the first human-made object to leave our solar system. It's a huge step for science and space exploration, but the sounds that accompany it are anything but comforting. I mean, come on. That horror movie style shrieking sound on the way out into deep space isn't exactly what we want to hear. I'm not entirely sure what the source of that sound is, but let's all just hope that it isn't something sinister.
Moving on to number 3, we have the pulse of radio waves. Just recently on April 28, 2020, 2 telescopes detected an intense pulse of radio waves. Now the signal only lasted for a millisecond, but astronomers were blown away by this and said it's a major discovery. Why? Well, this is the first time a fast radio burst has ever been detected so close to Earth. The signal came from the Milky Way. In fact, Chime wasn't even looking for it, but it was so loud and clear that they caught it anyways. They said that this burst is helping them discover what these things are and where they're coming from. Maybe we'll find out if there's aliens out there sooner than we thought. Coming in at number 2, we have the Space Shuttle Columbia.
Just taking a few hits here. We're right up on top of the tail. Not too bad.
Max flight.
Flight max.
And there's no commonality between all these tire pressure instrumentations and the hydraulic return instrumentations.
No, sir. That's
On February 1st, 2003, the Columbia Space Shuttle was destroyed upon re-entering Earth's atmosphere. All 7 individuals on board sadly lost their lives. The signals and messages they sent to Mission Control while this was happening was horrifying. NASA released the transcript as well as some of the final messages of the astronauts, and just hearing it is heartbreaking. Basically, Mission Control started noticing a bunch of things going wrong with the craft. The individuals on board tried to stay calm and think positively, but they just kept getting worse and worse news from Mission Control.
ECOM.
I've got 4 temperature sensors on the bond line data that are off scale low.
Columbia out of communications at present with Mission Control as it continues its course toward Florida.
I didn't expect this bad of a hit on comm.
The saddest part was towards the end of the recording, they keep sending messages to the space shuttle, but all they hear is silence. That's when entry flight director Leroy Kane says, "Lock the doors."
YGC, lock the doors. Copy.
This means nobody leaves Mission Control until everyone finishes their reports and written accounts of what they just witnessed. They knew that this was the end of the crew and the mission.
In our number 1 spot today, we have the Venus signal. For many years, we have been trying to figure out just how Earth and Venus turned out to be so different. Venus is Earth's closest neighbor, and they're quite similar in size and density, but that's about it, to be truthful. Venus has a thick, toxic atmosphere that is filled with carbon dioxide. There are thick yellow clouds of sulfuric acid that trap heat on the planet, which has caused temperatures that are hot enough to melt lead. It's the hottest planet in our solar system, and it's not even the closest one to the sun. That is all exactly why, during a brief swing by Venus, when NASA's Parker Solar Probe detected a radio signal that was signifying the spacecraft had flown through the planet's upper atmosphere, it was exceptionally interesting. This was the first direct measurement of the atmosphere of Venus in about 30 years, and it showed that it was significantly different from before. A new study published showed that Venus's upper atmosphere undergoes some interesting and confusing changes over a solar cycle, which is the sun's 11-year activity cycle. This could potentially give us clues as to how and why the Earth and Venus are so different. Because of the harsh climate on the planet, spacecrafts have only been able to survive at most for a couple hours there, so there is still so much mystery surrounding what exactly goes on Venus.
Starting off this countdown, we have the new reality. There are a number of real people out there that have gone to bed and woke up in a completely different universe or reality. One where things are the same, but slightly different. Now, if you have seen our other videos, we have talked in depth about some of these stories, like the woman named Lorena Garcia. One day she woke up with a completely different job, was with the same company, just a different position, and she had a completely different boyfriend. Her former boyfriend just disappeared without a trace. And now she's stuck in this timeline versus her old one. Then you have a man that woke up and all of a sudden he was a fisherman. He spent the day living a different life, and the next day he was back to his old self. Now, no one knows what causes this to happen, but it personally terrifies me. What if I accidentally universe jump to a place where I'm unhappy or my life is just completely different? Plus, no one would believe me, they would label me as crazy. In our 9th spot today, we have the reverse signals. In 2016 and in 2018, scientists in Antarctica discovered radio pulses being emitted from the ground. The radio pulses detected high-energy neutrinos and were discovered by the Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna, otherwise known as ANITA. But here's the weird thing. The signals were coming up out of the Earth and heading towards the sky. Since the signals were coming up from the Earth instead of down from space, people believe that they may be traveling back in time and therefore from a parallel universe. For this universe, the Big Bang represents the end and not the beginning.
Coming in at number 8, we have the Bernstein Bears phenomena. Also called the Mandela effect, the Bernstein Bears phenomena claims to prove the existence of parallel universes with subtle differences. People vehemently claim that the Bernstein Bears were spelled with an E and not an A, and honestly, I for one absolutely thought that the Looney Tunes were the Looney Tunes until I watched a video on the phenomena last year, and now I'm straight up convinced that I'm living in the wrong universe, as it is clearly Looney Tunes. They're cartoons. This new world doesn't make any sense. Some people out there are also adamant that Nelson Mandela died in prison in the late 1980s, which is more than just a slightly altered timeline. It's not just spellings here, this is a pretty major parallel universe event. Number 7, we have cows falling through this sky. So how else would you explain a cow falling through the sky to Earth? Clearly the cow is just grazing way too near to a rip or a window in its parallel universe and it fell through to hours, but like a really inconvenient location in the sky. I don't know, it does sound crazy, sure. In 2003, the New York Times ran an article about a Japanese fishing boat that was sunk by a flying cow, or more accurately, a cow that fell from the sky. In 2013, a Brazilian man was killed when a cow fell through his roof and crushed him. Where are these cows coming from? Could they be from another dimension? Maybe.
In our number 6 spot today, we have World War I. For this one, we are taking it back to the First World War and discussing something that really changed the way we use wireless communications. Basically, during the First World War, British forces were able to intercept German radio communications. With this newfound ability, they were able to learn about the plans that German forces had and used this to their advantage. Of course, later when this was found out, no one wanted a similar thing to happen to them, but the technology was so valuable they couldn't just give up on it. This is said to be what led to the use of cryptography, which was intended to conceal the messages being sent out, and thus cryptoanalysis, which originated to get around this new extra layer of protection, was born. In our number 5 spot today, we have black holes. Black holes are some of the most mysterious, mystifying, and terrifying things that exist out there in the ether. They can be super small or massively large, and they are extremely dense. Their gravity is so strong that absolutely nothing can escape, and that is exactly why, coupled with the fact that one of these will turn you into spaghetti if you get too close, but that's why we know little to nothing about what lurks on the inside. Hear me out. Especially if you've seen Interstellar, great movie by the way, Matthew McConaughey is so good in it. What if black holes somehow connect us to other universes? I know it sounds insane and kind of like a silly idea, but in the end, if other universes exist and they run parallel to ours, then there really is no idea too wild or crazy, because that's one of the most insane things I can possibly think of. In our number 4 spot today, we have the Black Widow Pulsar. Unveiling the drama of the cosmos, our universe revealed an intense astronomical spectacle in 1988. Astronomers detected a fascinating object, a pulsar known as the Black Widow Pulsar, or PSR B1957+20. Pulsars are neutron stars, remnants of supernova explosions characterized by emitting regular beams of radiation as they spin. However, the Black Widow Pulsar stands out from its kin due to a unique and somewhat macabre characteristic. Located approximately 6,500 light-years away from Earth in the constellation of Sagittarius, this pulsar is locked in a destructive cosmic dance with its companion star. As they revolve around each other, the pulsar's intense gravitational pull and radiation are steadily vaporizing its unfortunate partner. The process resembles a venomous black widow spider consuming its mate, hence the name. The pulsar's companion, initially comparable in mass to our sun, is now merely a tenth of that, stripped away by the relentless energy of the Black Widow. The radiation emitted from this process is intense and rhythmic, like a cosmic lighthouse casting regular signals into the depths of space. Despite the seemingly predatory nature of the Black Widow pulsar, it provides astronomers with an exceptional opportunity to study the effects of extreme gravity and radiation on stellar bodies. This astronomical phenomenon encapsulates the sheer power, violence, and strange beauty of the universe, reminding us of the dynamic and often brutal processes at play in the cosmos.
Number 3. Bright, quick blasts of radio waves. Repeating bursts of energy seem to be coming from an ancient group of stars called a globular cluster, which is among the last places astronomers expected to find them. Often originating billions of light years away, the extremely bright, extremely brief bursts of radio waves, known as the fast radio bursts, have defied explanation since they were first spotted in 2007. Based on observations to date, scientists surmise that the bursts are powered by young, short-lived cosmic objects. But a fast radio burst discovered has now been traced to a globular cluster about 11.7 million light-years away near the neighboring spiral galaxy M81. To put it in perspective, finding this burst among a cluster of aging stars is kind of like finding a smartphone embedded in the Stonehenge. The observation doesn't make sense. Brian Gainsler, an astronomer from the University of Toronto, said this is definitely not a place where fast radio bursts are expected to live. Scientists are struggling to explain the cosmic aneurism. They're also moving toward the conclusion that maybe, as with many other celestial phenomena, there are multiple ways to cook up a fast radio burst.
In our number 2 spot today, we have the BLC-1. As astronomers were searching for the existence of life beyond our planet, they spotted something that piqued their interest. This was a radio signal that has yet to be explained that was coming from the direction of the star that is closest to the Sun, Proxima Centauri. The reason why this specific radio signal was so exciting and promising is because this star has at least 2 planets that orbit it, and one is thought to be temperate and rocky, like Earth. The observations in which they picked up these signals took place between April and May of 2019, and they were detected by Breakthrough Listen, which is a decade-long search for alien broadcasts. They were using Australia's Parkes Observatory when they made their discovery, and they explained that throughout their search, every now and then finding something strange is expected, but this detection was more unusual because it was a strange discovery that required them to then begin planning next steps, which does not happen very often.
And in our number 1 spot today, we have the final words. In 1967, Soviet test pilot, aerospace engineer, and cosmonaut Vladimir Komarov was sent into space on the Soyuz 1. However, the mission did not go according to plan and the spacecraft was extremely faulty. But Vladimir didn't really have a say in going on this mission. He kind of felt forced to do so. He said that if he didn't go, then the backup pilot would have had to go, which was his best friend, and he said he didn't want to do that to his friend, so he went and sacrificed his life instead. He knew the mission was going to fail, and he was right. Once he began to orbit Earth, a number of issues began to happen, such as the antennas not opening up properly. The worst came to him on his re-entry into Earth. On April 24th, 1967, during his re-entry, the parachutes failed to open. The signals he sent to Earth were haunting. On his way down, translators heard him say heat was rising in the capsule. He then began to curse the people who put him inside of this botched spaceship, saying they killed him. His final moments were him cursing and crying in rage. Imagine hearing that and listening to a man's final words. It's very haunting.